people spend an inordinate amount of time shoulding all over themselves. I should do this, I should do that. And oftentimes we project those expectations onto other people.
Oh, yeah.
You should do this, you should be that way. That's ego, and that's control. And I mean, that's even something I struggle with. You know, I am a type A anal retentive control freak. And mostly because it has served me really well professionally. The challenge is really understanding the line between it as a tool and it as a hindrance. It's almost the fine line between observation and obsession, right? You know, it's a very fine line. And listen, it's a dance. And sometimes you step on the toes of that line, and other times it seems graceful. It's not perfect. None of us are. Perfection's a damn illusion that too many people spend too much time striving for. It just doesn't exist. It just does not exist. And so acknowledging that disables that control, I mean, at least a little bit for a little while, if I'm lucky. And for others, hopefully it does the same. But yeah, ego and control they're real bastards to deal with. They're not easy to deal with.
So true. So true. Let's dig into that ego part. Like, what are the tools? What are the possibilities that you can like dissect, go deeply into, understand, and also work it through and work it every day? Because it's like different people, different cultures have different visualizations of that. Ego, alter ego, all that. One another can say angel and the devil whispering to your ear and all that. Like, from a perspective, how you work with it and how you make sure that you are progressing in the right direction.
The biggest thing is being aware of it, right? I also think defining it is important. For me, it's that voice in my head that says you can't, or you shouldn't, or have you thought about this, or what will that person think? All those things that steer us maybe a different direction or off course from where we should really be going. Or worse, keep us stuck where we shouldn't be. So it's understanding, first of all, how it's defined for you, and then starting to recognize what it sounds like. And when you do those things, you become increasingly aware. It's almost like knowing the way to a certain destination. And once you've been down that road 10 times and you've done the sequence, you never get lost. Right? So listening to and understanding, listening to the voice and understanding how you define it creates this path that you instantly recognize it. I'm pretty good at recognizing, I will say, when my ego is having not a great day. I can hear it. It's loud. It's the voice inside my head that is maybe the voice of doubt, or the voice of concern, or curiosity, but not positive curiosity. Those are moments for me that I instantly take the time to question. Wait a second. Is that me, or is that my ego? And I get it wrong all the time. I get it wrong all the time. The important part is to look back at those moments. Maybe, for some people it's meditating. For other people it's journaling. For other people it's just sitting on the couch and having a beverage of choice and reflecting on the day. There's no prescribed way to do this. And I'm certainly not going to tell anyone there is. It's different for every single person, but it's in those moments when you look back at those interactions or those environments or experiences and you say, gosh, I could have handled that differently.
How do you, though, fight your reptilian brain saying fight or flight, and it's a reactionary, and it's so built so hard? Like I see it in myself, like some of the reactions, especially the anger one, because that's my primary one that goes through like crazy. It's that that dragon coming through, or whatever you may call it, the werewolf who is thirsty for blood, right? That's the only way it's going to be satisfied, when it drinks, right, or tears things apart. So how you approach that? Because one thing is realizing and knowing, and another thing is once you are in that rage, or tantrum, depending on the emotion that is feeding you, because everyone is different. In my case, it's rage or anger. How you overcome that and just go and work it, and kind of, would you take time off? Would you, as you say, meditate, or would you just figure out a way how to, I don't know, disconnect or move yourself somewhere else?
Using the travel analogy again, if you never take the time to study the map, you'll never know where you're going.
That's right.
There is a reason that the rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield. And so looking forward through that giant windshield is certainly the time where you should spend your energy. If we spent all of our time looking in the rear view mirror, there'd be accidents, galore. But it's certainly something good to check every so often. So for me, it's a practice in those moments where I have gone off kilter, or maybe gotten flown off the cuff, or been angry about something, or reacted in a way that I'm not sure I would be maybe proud of. Reflectively, I'm not proud of.
Yeah. Is
taking the time to just evaluate the map, to study it, to say, how could I have behaved differently? I also, for me, it's a big question around energy expense, which is invaluable when you consider the disproportionate amount of energy you spend being angry or mad or stubborn, or whatever your reaction is to that situation where the ego is the dominant player, versus taking a deep breath and having what I often refer to as an adult conversation. Can we have an adult conversation? And that
with yourself,
with myself sometimes, often with myself, but even with others. Hey, can we talk about this? This didn't land well for me. I'm definitely part of the equation. I was part of the problem. I shouldn't have reacted the way I did, but I'd love to revisit it when you're ready. There's a level of vulnerability in not only evaluating the map to know how to navigate properly, but even more vulnerability in having that conversation with the person that you might have not had the best interaction with or the best experience with. And again, I say this not as someone who's professing to do this well often. I do it okay sometimes. But the piece after, again, that reflective piece, that part is non-negotiable for me. That part is something I force myself to go through. Does it equip me to be perfect the next time? No, but it inches me closer to a result that I maybe don't have to spend so much time being critical or even to evaluate that experience with that person. So I honestly think the ego plays such a cruel role in most people's lives. We could probably have an 8-hour podcast just about, how challenging it can be to sort of overcome that voice, overcome that ego. But first step for listeners, understand, first of all, how you define it, and then understand, probably even more importantly, what it sounds like. And then the awareness of it to catch it and then reevaluate those two things. It's a constant evaluation. The good thing is it doesn't take a lot of work. It just takes work.
Yeah, and if you consider, to the point that you had earlier, if you consider time expenditure on the time you spend on being angry compared to your time of reflection, like the reflection is minuscule.
Yeah.
And gives so much more.
And forget time, energy, just the energy expense. It takes a lot of energy to be angry. A lot.
That's true.
I can't remember. There was some saying when I was growing up that it takes more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile. I frankly do not know if that's medically true, but along that same line, there's no doubt that anger, resentment, harboring, tough feelings or experiences, being stubborn again, those things, they take a lot more energy than just working through something. And they are likely paving a path when you can have that vulnerability and that courage, that, to have that courageous conversation first with yourself and then maybe with others. It makes the path a lot easier to travel in the future. And in fact, maybe one that you want to travel as opposed to the alternative, which is never go down that road again with that person or doing that thing. And that's a shame, because that road can provide a really valuable lesson in and of itself, just in the moment, let alone what may come from reconciling and moving past that. But reconciliation of egos, it's a thing with none other than the person in the mirror, first and foremost.
I remember myself going through the moments where I basically looked at myself and was either angry for being angry, or either just not happy with all the process, the waste of time, the whole emotional roller coaster, all the ways that I could do it better. But to your point, it's that moment of reflection gives way bigger chance for you to make it better next time than not doing it at all.
The fact that you just said spending time reflecting on those moments, that is a path that you've now created, and that's now not a hard reflection for you to have. The challenge for all of us is getting to the lesson at the end of whatever that was, and then using it beneficially in our lives and the lives of the people around us.
And shortening the amount of time from the outburst to the reflection, I guess.
Yeah. And better yet, maybe getting to a point that the outburst isn't even
happening.
Mm.